Have you seen this? If you've been obliged to see a middle school production of Aladdin, you might have. Yeah. Welcome to Have You Seen This?
The world's only podcast about obscure, overlooked, and misbegotten media.
All discussions will be spoiler heavy.
You have been warned.
This show would not be possible without the support of our patrons. If you would like to support our show, join us at patreon.com/haveyouseenthis. For just $5 a month, get access to our Discord and all 3 episodes every month covering movies you've never heard of, or maybe wish you hadn't. We are here today without Tim, because Tim don't do musicals. Instead, I have some very able help in the form of 2/3 currently of the Worst of All Possible Worlds podcast. Thank you, Brian and AJ, for being here. I will now give you license to just relentlessly roast Josh.
Yeah.
No
Absolutely.
Because he is not here right now.
And to be very clear, Josh did want to be here. He had many thoughts, but I have bound him to his chair just off camera. And every once in a while, I will lean over and he'll whisper something to me, and I may communicate that on the podcast. But
well, here's the thing, AJ, is the truth is far funnier, which is that Josh went on a ski trip and got stranded.
Okay, I didn't know if we could reveal that on mic. Yeah, no, it is much funnier. Josh is stranded in the middle of Utah. So if you are listening to this,
Utah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Fuck. Now I'm sorry, Josh. Now I just feel bad.
Right. So if you are listening to this and you are in Utah, please step outside your home and yell, "Josh!"
So is you say he's stranded, but is this like a 127 days kind of a situation? Like, is he sawing at a limb right now, or is it, is he just
I
like
think he was stranded.
Is what I will say.
I think he was stranded, and now he is not stranded. I think, but it's a little hard to tell. He's mostly just swearing in Slack, so
fair enough.
It could be 127 days or 127 hours. It could be 9.5 weeks. We don't know. It could be any number of units of measurement of time.
That. Oh my God, Kim Basinger will not let me leave.
Oh no, whatever will I do?
Oh no, it's actually Mickey Rourke. Help me.
Okay, now I want to get out of that scenario.
Okay, we got to call the police.
But I mean, look, I understand his frustration of not being able to come on and talk about this movie, because I finished watching this movie, and if I didn't have the opportunity to scream about it into a microphone, I don't know what I would do with myself. I think...
Yeah, this is 70 of the worst minutes of my life.
I love it when I score a hole-in-one on booking guests, because when this movie was revealed to me and I perceived it, I was like, well, first of all, I was like, this is the worst fucking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And whenever I say that, my next thought is, can I talk about this on my podcast?
Yeah.
And then the second question after that is, will Tim hold his nose and talk about this? And I knew that in this case, the answer was a resounding fuck no. And I respect that, because this is not only trash, but musical trash.
Yes. Yeah. And also, I think that when people don't like musicals, I think this is what they think musicals are. And the whole time I was watching it, I was like, do I hate musicals?
I do now.
I write them. What have I been doing with my life? I've been working so hard on crafting lyrics for the last 10 years on many different shows, when all I could have done is just be like, I'm running out for tea, boop, 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 pee, and that's fine. And that's the end of the process. First thought, best thought, This is like, if you had told me this was improvised, I would believe you. And when most people say things are improvised, they're like, oh, they're so funny, they're nailing it. But this is actually more like what most improv is, which is just unwatchable.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, a form of torture that could be used on prisoners of war. if you don't give a fuck about the Geneva Convention. But let's get to the material, which is just choice. This is Aladdin from 1990, and you're like, Jen, what the fuck? Everyone knows that Disney's animated Aladdin came out in 1992. Mm-hmm. No, there is a Disney connection, and we'll get to that. But this is something much, much worse. And I'm just going to ask if either of you would like to give the capsule summary of this movie, because I really need to hear someone else summarize it for my own mental health. It's when you talk about trauma and when you're finally able to put words to what happened to you, and then the healing can begin. So let us commence with the healing.
Yeah, I'm really feeling... Yeah, okay. Brian, take us to church.
So in the theater industry, we have something called TYA. It's a whole wing of doing theater for young audiences. Yes. In England, they have something that's actually kind of fun. They have pantomimes. And in Germany, they have like marionette puppets, and I'm into that kind of shit. But in America, we just have TYA, and it's some of the most dog shit. I mean, there's good stuff out there too. I don't want to say it's all terrible. There are certainly talented people who make theater for young audiences. I have never seen it in my entire life.
Well, really quick.
Yeah.
Having described this particular type of material, I think that where I live, I was usually exposed to a generally pretty high quality of it because I grew up less than an hour away from Los Angeles.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
So our community theater was actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
By most standards. But I don't know about you guys.
Well, so I grew up in San Diego. I was part of the youth theater scene while I was down there. And it's mostly a kind of a racket to like extort money out of like very wealthy white people, because ultimately
good.
I mean, yeah, you know what, honestly, for the best, because it's like it's pay to play. So you pay $450 a show per kid, and then that money,
it's sort of like summer, like day camp.
Yeah, well,
right, but it's theater.
Kind of. And then it was more like an
or vacation Bible
or an after school activity. It was basically like a club that was not affiliated with your school that you would be able to go to and put on these shows. And you'd get, usually you were double cast in a show, so there'd be one entire cast of the show and a whole entire other cast of the show, and you would do two performances each. You'd get like a night show and a matinee, and that was sort of it. And for the most part, you would do things like, mostly you did a lot of Bye Bye Birdie, you did a lot of Annie, and then you did a lot of Les Mis, surprisingly, the school edition of Les Mis, Into the Woods Jr.
So it was all, I just realized, aside from maybe Into the Woods, this is all Tams Witmark licensed musicals.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
And MTI is also one, because here's, like, there were...
Yeah, MTI does Into the Woods.
There was a lot of, like, musical theater that was, youth theater that did musicals. Oh, my God!
Oh, my God!
Oh, my God. I hope I'm not late.
He lives!
I came as quick as I could when I heard that we were going to be discussing the classic Disney animated motion picture Aladdin.
Yeah. Well, Josh, I have some really bad news for you on that front.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
We're just now in the process of explaining what theater for young audiences is.
Oh, God. Yeah, we're having a TYA discussion. All right, go on.
Yes, tits and young ass.
So basically there are sort of two realms of theater for young audiences. There are people who pay for the higher end musicals.
Yeah.
There's Les Mis, there's Into the Woods, there's all the ones I mentioned. And then there is another subcategory of youth theater that does discount musicals. And these are things like, I don't know, just off the top of my head, Aladdin, Alice in Wonderland, Cinderella, The Emperor's New Clothes, Jack and the Beanstalk, Pinocchio, Pocket Full of Rhymes. What the fuck is that? Sleeping Beauty, Snow White.
Pocket Full of Rhymes, I just have to say, Pocket Full of Rhymes has the best music out of all of them that I've heard. I was listening to the samples from every single one of these shows.
Ooh,
and that
please tell me
it's
a hip-hop musical.
No, it's it's a little too old to be hip-hop. It's more like Schoolhouse Rock, I guess.
It's educational?
Yeah, it's not educational at all, but it's more that kind of music.
Sure. They also have a thing called Snow White Goes West. Sure. We have Trezor.
She meets Fievel, AJ.
Then they hang out with Galadriel.
Give Galadriel the lazy eye. Then Treasure Island and the Wizard of Oz. And these are all shows by a theater company called the Prince Street Players, who are also responsible for the Aladdin that we watched tonight. Their website is broken. You cannot click on any of the links anymore. You have to go literally URL by URL.
What's funny is that the mobile site actually works great. It's the only mobile site that works well at all. But the Prince Street Players were founded in New York in 1965.
Oh, it's that Prince Street. They were like downtown theater people.
That's right, Josh. This is true avant-garde downtown theater. So
it's almost Brechtian in its.
It was Prince Street and the Wooster Group, and Willem Dafoe was nude in both.
Yeah, he did the Emperor's New Clothes, which they put him in long underwear. That's what they do. It's not inappropriate.
And they also booked a stunt penis just in case, like an Antichrist.
Yeah. Well, they had to. His penis is too big.
It's bewilderingly huge. Just ask Lars von Trier.
Yeah.
I think it broke him a little bit, in fact, if you look at interviews with him.
That's why Lars von Trier is like divorced and on Tinder now, is because Willem Dafoe's penis just so demoralized him.
Yeah, fucked him up.
So they got to produce a bunch of these musicals on TV, specifically with CBS in the 70s. From basically 1976 to 1981, and a lot of these got rebroadcast, and they got rebroadcast on the local affiliates. And when Disney was making its big Aladdin, there must have been something to do with rights to that name, trademarks, etc. So the way that Disney got around that was they produced a new production of this Aladdin that had previously been done in the 70s. And they broadcast it on the Disney Channel.
So this is Disney's Aladdin.
It's like a write-off? Yeah.
This movie, sorry, just making sure I heard that right. This movie, the movie that we watched, this horrible goddamn musical, actually aired on the Disney Channel.
Yes.
Yes,
Holy
it did.
shit.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, you can get 2 extra episodes every month, plus access to our growing catalog of reviews for just $5 a month by going to patreon.com and searching for Have You Seen This?